Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
You find yourself in a tavern.
Oh, we should have checked for traps.
I knew he forgot something.
I think I can reason with him.
You killed his father.
Can I have sex with it?
You could certainly try.
I'm gonna touch a sword.
Don't touch the sword!
The child is evil, right?
Obviously.
I could cast Fireball.
Always cast fireball.
All right, roll for it. Welcome to Friday Night Quests. I'm your host and Dungeon Master, Jay Jones. This week brings you our special Aftermath episode for our adventure with John Harlan Kim from TNT's The Librarians. First, we'll chat with John and the rest of the main cast about the adventure and about what it was like for John to come back and play another game. Then I'll sit down with the producers and we'll talk about the design of the adventure, as well as Sweeney's many, many personal issues. And without further ado, let's get to our interview with the cast.
The thing is I got this thing called Water Walk,
Well, that's just you.
Yeah.
You're just gonna walk a real long time.
and I got this thing called Wind Wall.
I would recommend fashioning new sails out of the destroyed boats that you guys
Well,
find
how are we
there.
gonna get all those materials?
There's a lot of crashed boats
And
around.
It's all
Water
off screen.
breathing.
It's all off screen.
It's all off screen.
Yeah.
That's for in-between adventures
We
problem.
made a boat.
And at some point, I think probably the next adventure is going to open with Sweeney having to have an honest conversation with Horace and Izzy
Probably.
about what all this was about.
And
Yeah,
not
I'm
only
still
that,
mad.
I now have to be somewhere in 6 months.
Or, where else? Who knows? Maybe you get puppies or something. Like free puppies.
Yeah. Maybe it's like, come here for the free puppy.
Thanks for coming back. What did you think about your second time here?
Yeah, heaps of fun. I always last time was such a blast. I think it's a game that you get very involved in, and you very much need an imagination. So to be as right-brained as I am on the super creative side and not so great on the academic side, I think it's
Just a little light math.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just a little bit of basic maths.
It's addition, subtraction, sometimes division. That's
Sometimes.
kind of what
Yeah, divide by 2.
Yeah, usually it's divide by half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we didn't promote ourselves to Vadran.
Yeah, you
we didn't
didn't.
promote.
You guys are not really holding up the end of your
crap.
bargain there.
No.
I know, we're really going to have to remember that going into the
Crap.
next...
I'll put it. Well, I kind of want to
put it
redo
in
my
the thing.
sheet. It's
So
a little-
what is Ander's big deal with imps? Clearly he has some kind of rivalry with them. Is it something that has to do with cake, another sweet-related incident? Or is the imp smuggling market big in the world?
Man.
I think Ander is he's a simple guy. He's a simpleton, and I think he likes 3 things.
Simple guy and simpleton. Very
Yeah.
Two different things.
close.
Similar.
I think he likes his desserts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get him near while he's eating dessert. He loves his drinking. Mm-hmm. And his final thing is he loves money. And I think he is morally unbound to what it will take to obtain said money. So I think he's sort of had some shady characters in his life, as you could imagine, living the pirate life.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow found himself involved in the imp smuggling trade.
Lucrative.
Yeah, but unfortunately, one night...
Had to sink a boat after.
Yeah,
because of it.
he had to say goodbye to a lot of them and kick the boat away. And I think he's actually a lot more emotionally attached than I think he lets on.
Clearly.
As we saw in the last game when it came down to his friends' lives, it really, his affection and adoration.
And we're your friends.
Yeah.
That was fully established in this. See,
He admitted it.
that was great.
He admitted it.
He admitted it sooner than Sweeney did, and Sweeney's known these guys for 3 years.
Yeah.
But no, I like him. I like to think that he's that cousin that you like in small doses.
Who also owns a boat.
Yeah, and whenever you need something, he somehow has legally obtained it. So I think
Call him for
hey,
favors.
yeah, I don't
It's
think
reliable enough.
I don't think he owns these boats legitimately.
The green pearl is... It's big on saving energy,
Yeah,
but it's
I mean-
not legal.
I think it was Jeremy who said that asked if I'd just stolen the black pearl, and I think. I think if you look closely enough, has just painted over
Just
black.
painted-
Well, there's the black pearl, but there's like a scratch through
Just
the...
quickly,
There's
green
green
pearl.
pearl. Yeah.
We know it's only a day old, so it had to be very quickly done. Oh man, someone's gonna notice this, and there we go. And Librarians just got renewed for a 3rd season, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, this adventure is filled with a lot of weird, crazy scenarios. Is there something like crazy and weird you'd like to see Ezekiel run into in the third season that he hasn't had the chance to run into yet?
Because you guys have run into some weird stuff in season 2.
We found ourselves in the some of the age-old adages like time loops and such, but then also
normal fare.
Yeah, yeah.
That episode was so much fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. But no, I think we do some crazy stuff, but Dungeons and Dragons is like a whole
not as many fish people in librarians?
No, I mean, like, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and then I show up to librarians, and I'm like, oh, this is just a normal day at work. Like,
I got this, guys.
Right.
Oh yeah, Cthulhu monsters or whatever. Kind of typical.
Yeah.
Normal fares for librarians.
Yeah. No, it's good. I honestly, it's funny. Like, I tell people that I've played Dungeons and Dragons before, and I think a lot of them sort of, at least the people in circles that I've run into, they don't really know much about it. So to explain, how it goes and sort of how much thinking and improvisation you have to do, it's not really like, I guess it's funny you threw the term out nerd earlier, and it's like, that's what it's deemed as. But you really need to be so out of your shell to play it. I don't think it requires you to be, some shy, locked-up kid in your room. I think you very much need to have very open and very witty personality. So, to come here and play, I feel like
That's kind of the conundrum of Dungeons and
Well,
Dragons.
that's the cool thing about it is I've really seen it bring people out of their shell.
Yeah.
In groups that they're maybe not as familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, honestly, like every person we've played with, they've, some of them have been friends with maybe Jay or myself, but like haven't known Jeremy or Kelly. And like sometimes they're just kind of a stranger, like Seychelle was. And like we really see them like sitting down and going, I don't know what I'm doing. And then being like, okay, I got this. I kind of understand what's happening, and like getting more and more comfortable. And I've seen that effect. Again, I play in several gaming groups.
You play a lot of gaming groups.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people getting more and more comfortable and just used to throwing out ideas and not feeling insecure about them. It's like, oh, is that a bad? No, screw it. I'm just gonna do it. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, as John, is this your second time? If anyone wanted to pick up Dungeons and Dragons, what would be your first thing you'd say, like, that they wouldn't expect? Like, try this, or I'd recommend this if you're gonna play. Like going into it for their first time.
I think the first thing, and it's the same with acting, is you can't have any limitations. Initially, when I first played, I was very, very, timid, and I was super.
It did not come across.
No,
that way,
you
but
could
sure.
not tell.
No, I was. I don't know if you guys realized, but the first 5 minutes, my heart was beating, and I was very.
Oh.
I didn't know like what was going on properly, and then sort of to see, and I'm not saying this just to. Stroke your egos, but you guys are really good at this game, and it really makes it easier
thank
for
you.
someone coming in to really tag along.
We've gotten a lot of rules wrong on this show.
Like we have never gotten any rules wrong.
We're good at the important parts of the game. I'll put that out there.
No, I love it. I love the voices. I love the humor, and so to come in last time, you guys made it so much easier for me to join in and sort of join in on the fun. And coming back this year, I was not nervous at all. In fact, it was sort of like a feeling of like coming back to
that's
this
great.
like fun
Thank
world
you.
that I got to
Yeah,
experience.
we felt
last
like we
year.
were reuniting, like, again, I mean, not only from a story-wise, but like reuniting with someone to play with. Like, someone we've
I hope you
played
come
with
back,
and-
John.
I will. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna say this. I feel like Anders seems like a three-parter.
We gotta see what happens with those imps.
Well, something I've thought about is that in your first appearance, you mentioned that your character doesn't remember how they got to Willow's End. And I feel like there's a story there.
that is something we can
I
explore.
feel like there might be a story behind why he.
I don't think so. I think it's completely
Let's just write ourselves into a corner. and-
Jeremy knows the most important rule of improv is no.
Yeah, it's
right?
no
Always.
but.
No bud. Not yes and, but no
Just
bud.
no, sir.
Well, that's Ander. Obviously, no bud is Ander's way of life.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the way he was
yeah.
swinging those warhammers.
He really doesn't like that, but he's.
No buts allowed. Yeah, no buts.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming and playing. And John, again, we'll have to make that 3-part happen.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I from the bottom of my heart, I can't wait to come back. I'm excited.
Thanks,
Yeah.
John.
Yay! Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming and playing.
All right, guys, I'm sitting here with Jay Jones, the aforementioned Dungeon Master.
Hi.
You should probably speak after I say your name.
Because if I don't say anything, no one will believe you, Mike.
And we should set a precedent for our other two people who are sitting here.
Yeah,
Andrew Dickinger. Okay, sort of like speaking. and
Close.
And Niels-Christian.
Good day.
See, those are words. That's how words work.
No.
Yeah, those are actually words. Good and day.
These are our producers who wrote the adventure that you just heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Let's talk a little bit about how this one came together. This one had an interesting genesis.
It did. Much like Sega did. Nope, that didn't work.
Well, you said it.
Yeah, I did.
Too soon.
So, too soon? Sorry, listeners, if that offended anyone. Yeah, so this came about because of really a player decision, this whole
that's
adventure.
true.
All of this came from, like, you...
Yeah.
Mike Christensen,
Yes.
as playing Sweeney, was saying, you know what, at the end of Bahamutmas, I'm just going to leave, because that makes the most sense. I would just leave. And then we were like, oh, okay, well then that changes everything we do here from now on. Okay, great.
Sweeney made what the screenwriters call a flawed emotional decision.
Yes, that was.
In that he thought that he needed to be apart from the league for... we didn't really fully explain kind of everything that he went through and everything that he's been up to. I think we'll get into it in...
Over the 6 months, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. But
Personal stuff.
Yeah, he kind of had to go and do some investigation, and that led him to this island. But I basically came to Jay and I said, he's going to feel like he can't be around the league right now, so that's what's happening.
Right.
And then we actually told, Jay and I told Kelly this at our Halloween party.
And Kelly plays Izzy.
Kelly plays Izzy, and her reaction was so visceral, because, like, Izzy just came out of her swinging angry, just like, how dare you? And we're like, Kelly, save it. Like, we're going to have to get that on mic. Because she was so, like, genuinely angry. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
She should be. Sweeney's a dick.
You just up and left.
Sweeney is being a douchebag right now. And that was a lot of fun.
It was.
To just come back and to not have it be okay.
Yeah.
That he left.
Basically, you have a very family adventure with Bahamutmas of like, we're all together, Bahamutmas,
Yeah.
and then just break it all apart immediately.
Immediately undercut.
Reset. So that's what it gave us the opportunity to do in season 7, which was really fun because we also got the return of John, who came back to the show, John Harlan Kim.
As Ander, yeah.
Yeah, and he was great to have back, which also worked to have kind of like a reset for the team, to also have our first guest we had on the show, so that worked out really well.
Especially because the mystery stems back to the first season.
Yeah.
And that was not accidental that we went to John. Because I was like, Sweeney would want to... It's like a control test. It's like, let's see if we can get that group back together and get some answers.
Also worked out really well because I knew the adventure would have an island involved, and what makes better sense to have a pirate? Because that's a perfect character injection into the story.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard what the planned idea was for where they were going, I was like, oh man, John's coming back. We got to have a ship, right? We're having a ship.
Oh, always.
It's his ship, right?
What was it? The Green Pearl?
The Green Pearl, yeah.
It was the eco-friendly ship.
Yeah, the eco-friendly Black Pearl. Let's talk a little bit about the ship, because you had a really cool encounter that you guys threw at us in the first episode.
Yeah, it was, that encounter was in a response to wanting to create some type of test for everybody, some really kind of an elaborate skill test. But in most cases, skill tests are always just for one person, like, oh man, we're not going to get this boulder out of the way, and it's like, oh, I'm a giant dude, I'll move this, or I'll, something like that. It's always one person's skill is more applicable for those situations.
Or it's like they're negotiating, but you have, like, one person's better at negotiating than everyone else, so they're kind of taking the lead on the conversation.
Exactly. But this one was a situation where it was like, we wanted to create a test where everybody could basically throw something into it. You're blowing up sails, whether with knives or with magic. You're slowing down the ship just through strength or through cunning or something like that. And this was an opportunity to create a very theatrical, cinematic scene that doesn't have a direct enemy that you can't just stab until it goes away.
Drive the ship. But we don't know how to drive a ship. Good luck.
Here we go.
Yeah, I definitely rolled an Arcana to see, like, is the wind magic? Maybe I can negate that somehow. And it's like, nope, it's just weather.
Nope, this is just nature.
It's just the deadliest catch. Like, just deal with it.
Yeah, you were just definitely in northern Maine, going to some magical island where there's, people.
Yeah, exactly. little fish people or whatever.
And those are always fun to me, those scenarios, whether they be in movies or in books or in stories just in general, where you have just kind of a natural problem that's happening.
Yeah.
And everybody in the group just has to work collaboratively together. It's like a big, elaborate problem-solving technique with a ticking clock attached to it.
Now, when you guys came up with the adventure, did any of you think at some point that someone's suggestion would be blow up the ship?
No.
No, but I really hope that they would.
Yeah, it was amazing because I kept looking over at Niels and Andrew, and they're like, yes, blow up the ship, yes, as the recording was happening. That was insane. I can't believe that was an option.
That was so I'm so curious what she would have done. Like, what was her plan to blow up the ship?
You guys would have been in the water with a bunch of sharks, so that would have been a whole different encounter.
I mean, when I heard that, yeah, I was surprised. But I mean, let's be clear here. It would have stopped the ship.
It would have.
It would have solved the current problem.
One of the problems.
That's true. We would not have
She was not wrong.
Well, let's not throw that around.
I mean, Gloria the Wolverine might have been dead, but, I mean, everybody else would have been fine.
Yeah, a lot changed in between seasons 6 and 7.
Yeah.
We got a Wolverine for Izzy, who is, as far as I can tell, basically useless.
Yeah, essentially.
Essentially just the most useless pet in the world.
Just best
Cute
pet.
pet.
She did catch, Gloria did catch the badger. Or bunny.
No, the bunny at the
bunny
end.
that...
Hey, Gloria was the one to, save everybody at the end of that adventure.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, are we not sure that maybe Gloria didn't turn that person into a bunny? That Gloria has magical powers?
Look, we can start writing fan fiction if we want to.
For our own adventures?
About Gloria.
Oh, boy.
But that was the fun thing about the sort of hiatus that was built into our schedule anyway. And then it was kind of interesting that became a hiatus for the group, for the group dynamic to be together at all. And we had this like weird, like, well, everyone's going to split up a little bit, or Sweeney and Izzy, Horace and Izzy are going off to the side, and Sweeney's going and doing his own thing. And then we had an actual hiatus in the show itself.
Yeah.
Everything kind of lined up really nicely for this season.
Yeah, we totally planned all of it so far ahead of time.
Speaking of planned things,
Yeah?
the wave pools.
Yeah, on the island?
Yeah, so you noted, I'm trying to remember exactly how
Yeah,
it's
there were like
phrased.
16 encounters on the island that you guys didn't run into. It's like Lost. I wanted to leave so many unanswered questions on the island.
I mean, I'll defend that show, but let's just move past that. There were these like, and it's in episode 3, there are these pools that have some water in them and some flowers in them, if I remember right.
There are flowers encircling this pool of water, and it basically this whole area, they basically look like big potholes.
Yeah.
Like big half dome divots into the ground, and in these circles in the ground you have surrounding them are flowers leading into it, and then the very bottom of the pool is a little pool of water, it looks like.
So what was up with those?
What was up with those?
Yeah, because we didn't...
Well, maybe we'll come back to the island. I'm kidding. We're gonna see that old man again.
Aww.
There's no surprises. No, so the pool of water actually was meant to be much like it's a trap. Right away, it's a
Shocking.
trap. Yeah. The flowers themselves are actually part of the island. Like it's all a network of roots and things that actually feed the island. So creatures and animals, the reason why the island is very quiet and there's not really any animals around is because the island actually eats those little creatures.
I wondered.
Yeah. So what happens is if you would go to sleep on that little bed of flowers, at night, the flowers would basically tangle around you and tie you to the ground as the water slowly rises, filled with acid, and eats you and then sucks it back into the water.
Digestion pools.
Yeah. Because nobody actually investigated where the ink maker gets his unique ink. And fun fact, it has some ingredients from people that visit the island.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
that's
kind of creepy
and weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
I'm glad I fireballed him.
Well, here's the thing. The island is doing it. He didn't make it. He's just making the best of a bad situation.
And to be fair, I'm not glad I fireballed him.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That was actually something that happened in the moment. And then afterwards, when I was listening to the show again, and I texted Jay, I was like, that was really intense what I did to that guy.
It's very dark.
And the word that you pointed out was cruel. It was a cruel moment for Sweeney.
It was a very cruel moment.
That was weird to like...
You surprised me. I was like, well, I wonder how this scenario could go this way, could go this way. But certainly no one will, after talking to him, just try to outright murder him.
While talking to him.
Yeah.
Like, we were not done. We had not had all the information we could have gotten out of him. Like, thank God he made us save. Because
He was almost dead.
Yeah, I would have
He was very almost dead.
killed him.
He was almost dead, and then you later walk up to him and stepped on his like broken legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wow, it's going all the way.
Sweeney was backed into a corner, and like he has developed a set of skills in his life to survive in the way that he lives, and one of them is that like if he's cornered, he will turn very aggressive and like
You know they say that old phrase, don't corner a wild animal, especially if they know how to throw fireballs.
yeah, that is the phrase that I've always
That's
heard.
the classic one.
It was an interesting moment because like I cannot defend it.
No,
100%. I can't defend that decision. It's just like Sweeney lit a dude on fire as an intimidation tactic.
A poor old man who just makes calligraphy for
My
like
most
birthday parties
powerful
and weddings.
spell.
Yeah, the fireball is no joke. We have it in our intro and outro credits, or not the outro, but the intro song. You should always be and would and should be throwing fireballs because they are powerful.
They are very powerful.
As we know from
As
the Adventures
Dante
of
here-
Gormo.
Yeah.
who killed
Yes.
2 whole armies with a fireball?
Yeah.
Very nearly.
2 whole armies of orcs.
I mean,
Instant death.
I mean, caused an Etten
Jeez.
to be lit on fire and then screaming
And then murdered immediately afterwards.
and then murdered immediately afterwards.
Fireball has a lot of powerful. It's been very strong in every time it's made an appearance.
Never used it before.
It's the opposite of Thunderwave. It always
Yeah.
helps.
It always helps. Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, yes, our intro says always use Fireball, but there are situations where it is not appropriate.
Like
that
maybe
was
when
one
you're
of them.
Speaking to like a nice old man who might help you, maybe not then.
Hey, if Sweeney doesn't know who his enemies are, he's going to treat everyone as an enemy.
Sure.
Again, not the right decision.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say, when you said before, he's been, he's learned a certain set of skills and how to survive. I was like, no, that was more just psychosis.
Well, no,
than
he
anything.
he is like, again, we've talked about this. He has anxiety and like he's sort of paranoid isn't the right word because there are people after him.
Yeah, he's correct about that.
But there is a fear because he's a wizard and they are very, very clothy and very easy to kill. That is a legitimate fear in his world, is that like anything can kill him. And usually he has enough power to kind of just stroll through the world and take what he wants and just sort of like, whatever, like, have a little fun and prank Horace and like not really worry about consequences. And then when he's faced with this like very serious threat on his life from people who know his secrets, know his
actual
truth.
name.
Yeah, and apparently some of the deeds he's done in his past, like he becomes a very dangerous person when he doesn't know who his enemies are.
Clearly he handles stress well.
Yeah, that's that's a very good point.
It's interesting to think like that though, with like how because he's paranoid because this is actually true.
Yeah.
Think people after him. It's just funny to think that in the world of D&D, like paranoia just must not be a thing that anyone worries about because there's like, oh yeah, he's stricken with paranoia, like all of us.
Well, that's the thing is, it's paranoia isn't the right word because it didn't bother him until there was an actual conspiracy.
Well, yeah.
And then it's like, now you are just a man on the edge.
Basically. And he's handling it well, so that's good.
Not at all.
Should we talk a little bit about what he did over the 6 months?
I think let's actually keep that.
We can peel that back a little bit later on.
Yeah, I actually, in my head, it didn't come out in the show, but I think he basically went into a bunch of other places, like for our greatest hits, and like, first I think he definitely went back to Uthane to make sure that guy didn't give up his true name, because Uthane knew his name.
That's true.
And I think he made sure that was the case.
He fireballed him, didn't he?
I don't think, no, he didn't.
When in doubt, fireball.
I think he probably went back to the library. And
I'm sure it was received very well.
I think that guy's still super pissed at us.
That's so strange. I don't know why I'd be so mad. Is it because you let a demon out and then also stole his nice sword and didn't return it?
I don't know that he would be
his
mad about the demon as much, but like the sword, definitely.
It was like a family heirloom.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we don't know, like, he's had it for a long time, but like,
It was in his personal office.
That's true, it was. It was loaned
Actually,
to
wait,
us.
you guys, I think, stole 2 things from his personal office. You stole the gem that had, I think it was the
The
black
fish.
toad in it, or the
No,
fish.
I have the one that 2 dead fish in it, yeah.
You had the 2 dead fish in it, and then you guys also stole the sword.
I still have that gem. I don't know what it's worth.
My aunt gave me that fish stone.
I mean, he spent a lot of his money on that trip. It might be the only thing of value he has left.
Yeah, probably.
And then in my head, he like swung by and like hooked up with an old boyfriend or something like that.
Sure.
'Cause, like he had to. It was like 6 months. He
had
had to
a
have
weekend.
like a little downtime at some point.
A ship's not shipping out until tomorrow. Like, well, got some time to kill.
I got a friend to look up.
Dunno.
He also, and this is true. I wrote a note that the party could find on Sweeney's body if he died.
You did.
Yeah, because
Really dark.
well, because here's the thing, like he needed to explain what happened, which he still has not done. But he might explain a little more in the next season, basically what they were looking for. 'Cause he
Right.
never told them
No,
what they
he
were
hasn't
doing.
told them anything.
But basically, if he died, which I always think is possible in any of our games, because I have just 0 hit points.
Is it because the first season had a demon at the end, Mike?
and I was
And you were
rolling
one
death fails?
saving throw away from death?
Yeah, I really kind of wish I was a halfling so that I have that backup of like, oh, if I roll a natural 1 on my death saving throws,
Yeah, lucky
I
it
can
really
roll
helps.
it. But yeah, it was very. I was legitimately concerned that if Sweeney died in this adventure, the answers would never come. So I wrote a death note that was basically like, hey guys, sorry I got you into this mess. Here's what I've been doing.
My name
I
is
hope-
this, and this is what I've done.
I hope you live, basically, is what that was.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it on the air.
No, don't.
Maybe
Don't.
someday, but I still have it, just in case.
Well, if you ever die, which we try to do every season, and you're still alive, so we'll figure out a way
See,
to
I
kill
just-
you eventually.
now I can be invisible, and it's a lot harder to kill me.
Jerk. Visibility's great.
And I started a fight by turning invisible. Like,
Oh yeah, you did.
we've actually talked about this off mic, but Sweeney is an instigator.
What?
In a lot of senses of the word.
You're kidding me.
But like here it was much more combat based. Because Sweeney will instigate like other situations just to amuse himself.
Of course.
Like he'll be like, hey, Horace and Fimian, like you guys should both compete for the same woman just to see what happens. But like no one's gonna get hurt. Or like emotionally Horace will be hurt because he's very sensitive. But that's amusing.
Yeah, I don't think messing with the social structure of a lizard people has any negative connotations to it.
And he really didn't mess with them as much as like the humans and half elves and things.
True,
or wood elves, I guess. But like with this, he actually like he basically started a fight by turning invisible. He definitely lit that dude on fire.
Yeah.
Like before the fight broke out. Sweeney's kind of not a good person.
No, not right now.
I don't know that he's ever been a great person.
He's been okay.
He's been manageable.
Oh, well. Well, and we've had there were a lot of different character developments in the season as well. I think with Horace too.
Sweeney was the only one that wanted to save the town in the first adventure.
I sort of feel like that's a weird one because it's like the pilot of a TV show because like we're not quite the characters that we're gonna be, but that still does actually hold up because
To be fair, I still think that
that might have still been the
morally,
case.
That was correct.
Because like Izzy is not as good, I think, as she thought she was at that time.
But the thing is, I actually, as much as it is in line, I mean, I feel like Sweeney, the more and more he's gotten comfortable with the league, he's messed with them more.
True.
Which is why he's kind of more comfortable to do that now. Also, he's terrible now because he has people literally after him, and he's dealing with that stress in the absolutely worst possible way, like, fireballing innocent old men. And,
yeah.
Meanwhile, Horace, over these years, has gone from being just a selfishly terrible person to actually now, especially in this last season, he started to develop, through multiple episodes, he was like, I've now considered you a friend.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be more friendly. I'm trying to build more of an actual honorable kingdom when he eventually gets one, if he does.
Well, yeah, I just feel like he's never really had attachment before.
No.
Yeah.
So-
or his attachments are with his family and they're a weird, sort of unhealthy relationship at times.
He did specifically refer to like Izzy as now his like friend.
Yeah.
not-
And it's like he's not offended as much because he literally had to ask, like, is this what friends do? Should I be mad at you?
Yeah.
And Sweeney's response was, probably you should, because this is not an okay thing. Like, we've talked about it before, Sweeney's very self-aware, but he's also just, at the end of Bahamut, we were like, all right, we're finding our stride. And then Sweeney just shattered it.
Yeah.
Like, just ruined our whole arc of everyone's becoming a better person.
What's interesting, too, is with Sweeney being out of it for 6 months, I feel like Izzy's and Horace's relationship has solidified a lot more, as more of, like, instead of you guys all being in this, like, crazy, weird triumvirate? I don't know if that's the correct term.
Sure.
But, but now them kind of forming a singular team of almost like, hey, we got to get the band back together. And Izzy almost being, like, a guiding, almost, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bird.
Bird, yes.
Well, she has a strange irony because she's the youngest of the group, but in a way, she's the most mature.
She's taken the most mature track, in my opinion.
At this point, yeah.
At this point, yeah.
She definitely, acts as a stabilizing influence
is.
on Horace.
Much
Although
more so than before.
Less so when she threatens to blow up boats. But because she is still very chaotic in her nature. But like talking about just decision making, like she has the most.
I would say so.
The most honest emotional reactions and the most sort of like healthy emotional reactions.
That's what I mean. I think she's stabilizing at an emotional level, from like a family level. Action-wise, yeah, she turns into a bear and she'll blow up ships like at the drop of a hat. But,
which she didn't end up doing. We should actually say she chose something else.
But
the impulse is there.
Yeah,
but
the impulse is still there in action, in moments of action. But I do think from an emotional level, she's probably the most emotionally stable of all three of you.
Right now.
Yeah.
What's the id, ego, superego? Because I feel like our characters do fall into that. First of all, id.
Well, Horace is definitely id.
Yeah, that's not
100%
even
id. That's not
question.
even a question. I guess I would say that Izzy is probably superego.
I think that's correct.
And Sweeney is quite literally just ego.
Yeah, I guess that's appropriate. We should also define what we mean in these contexts.
No. Let's not explain psychology at all.
No? Okay, cool. Look it up, guys.
Enjoy the internet. There's a lot out there. Don't get lost.
Anything else we want to talk about? I don't have any other questions for you guys about the design. Were there any other random encounters on the island?
Well, and we
should talk about the hobgoblin fight.
Oh, the hobgoblins, yeah. There was a lot there that you guys didn't investigate more of, which I'm happy, because then we can keep all that under the rug later on. About how they work. No, how the hobgoblins work. Because they don't die like regular hobgoblins. They were not, as it was described in the episode, they were like deflated like pumpkins almost. Like, not like balloons, but like a pumpkin.
They rotted very quickly,
which you guys didn't investigate at all, which is great. But
yeah, it leaves that hanging mystery of how this group operates.
Because so far, the only interactions you guys have had with it is a dead bird.
Which only Sweeney knows about.
And now dead, weird, rotten hobgoblins. And
Yeah.
they're not exactly... I think somebody in the fight mentioned that they were like zombies, and...
That's not how zombies work, though. That's the thing.
And that isn't how zombies work either.
There's something else at play, which we don't know about, and I forgot to investigate.
The hobgoblins, there was more of an interaction planned when you guys were at the docks, but you guys were like, all right, that guy's weird, let's get on the boat.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think what happened was you guys took the one interaction, and I can understand why it was made a very weird way, where he says
bringing the proper provisions, and he looks at Izzy.
He looks at Izzy, and I think you guys took it like, oh, he's hitting on Izzy, or like he's making a real slimy comment about Izzy, and that wasn't the case.
It's because she's part drow.
It's because she's drow.
And I think what we probably theorized is that the handprint reader.
That's right.
Which is not what it would be called, but whatever.
Not a reader.
The lock on the door. It's like a blood sampler.
Basically.
She's the one who would be appropriate for that.
She would be able to open the door.
With her drow blood. Yeah.
Until the spider guy realized that wasn't very good for clients, and he installed that other door that you guys didn't know about.
That's just so great.
And you guys could almost, if you'd hung out, maybe you could have met like a mind flayer. I think his name was Phil.
No, Derek.
That's
Derek
right.
the Mind Flayer.
Derek the Mind Flayer.
Yes.
I am so excited to one day meet Derek the Mind Flayer.
He's gonna be the ultimate villain.
Okay, perfect.
He's an okay guy. Munch on your brain a bit, maybe, but
yeah,
good at parties.
Also, I legitimately rolled a terrible Arcana check on Mind Flayers, so I don't have to metagame for like whether Sweeney knows about them or not. Sweeney doesn't know anything about Mind Flayers.
Maybe like Mind Flayers. Cool name. Don't know.
Yeah. Whenever we encounter one,
maybe a lizard.
I would just know now. I don't know anything about them.
But you know that some of them, occasionally at least one of them, likes to pick up nice calligraphy from a man on an island.
That's not super helpful, though.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing with that, so whatever.
Enjoying it, obviously.
Just doing nice calligraphy, like one does.
Framing it.
When they mind flay.
When they mind flay?
It's like I don't know, is it like a dance? Sweeney doesn't know.
Sure.
It's like Chris Angel,
I will say, though,
sure.
One last thing I'd like to add is this adventure definitely had one thing I've wanted to include for a long time, which is the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I finally had to throw it in there.
Yeah.
Which was like, there's going to be a temple on an island or in a jungly area. Yeah, there's going to be a giant ball that rolls from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Turns out that's actually in the Dungeon Master's manual.
Yeah, it is. It's in the DMG.
Of course it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and it will like kill you very easily.
How much damage does it do? Do you know?
I think it does like 60 damage.
There's a reason of the trademark phrase "rocks fall and everybody dies."
I mean, like it literally, if it hits you, I think it does just 60 damage.
That's a lot of damage.
It'll kill most low-level people. I think it would knock you unconscious, actually.
It would destroy me.
Yeah.
Well, it is
Yeah.
it is a 10-ton boulder.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, Horace.
That was it. Yeah, there's one thing to
Might
comment about that.
survive.
Horace might have not died immediately.
One thing that was fun about that scene is it was great to have Horace, played by Jeremy Fox, have a moment of being like, guys, I know I don't normally have good ideas, but let's not pull this thing just yet until we know what's about to happen here. I have a really bad feeling about this hallway and this red splotch on the wall.
Yeah.
He had a moment of clarity. It was unusual,
And
but
we-
it happened.
And we do have to comment, I think John made a great return to Ander.
Yeah, well,
and,
he was a lot of fun.
and he built out a really great backstory to his character, which was that he has like a terrible problem with trying to steal and or sell imps.
Yeah.
Some weird...
He has done some amount of imp smuggling, whether for profit or just because he is drunk.
Which, guess what? I'm not going to let that go. That will come back in some way.
Yeah.
And then and he keeps being mad that people stole his dessert, and
Yeah.
we keep running into people who look like the people who've done that.
Yeah,
He keeps being really good at decapitating people with his...
That's true.
that's true. He's really good at just
With a
straight
blunt
up
object?
murdering.
Speaking of that fight, that was one of my favorites so far.
Oh, the fish fight?
Yeah, with the octopus and the
Oh,
sharks
yeah.
fighting.
We have to talk about that,
Fighting
'cause-
underneath, and then
Yeah,
everyone was
we
fighting
didn't-
on the top deck. It
and
was
then-
like it was awesome.
First thing we should do is address what kind of monsters they are, so people know what we were fighting.
Yeah, that's great. So I believe they're pronounced like they are in the old ancient lores that we all know. Sahugans or Sahaugans
Or Soagans or whatever.
Sahuagins.
Yeah.
And
There's an
they're-
H in there.
They're blue fish-like people.
Aren't they green?
No, they're like bluish
they're
green.
teal.
They're like aqua. Anyways,
Yeah.
but they
Seafoam.
have like shark-like skin,
Yeah.
and they are like sworn enemies of elves. They
Yeah.
really hate elves. So when you guys were speaking Elvish to them, which we didn't even comment on, but we will use going forward, which is just social media,
Oh yeah, social media titles are Elvish.
Pinterest, Instagram.
That was a
Guys,
lot.
if you want to speak Elvish to each other now, you know. But basically, when you guys did that just on a lark of just speaking Elvish, I was like, yeah, just try speaking Elvish to them. That was perfect because it wasn't me just being like, yeah, we're going to force a fight. Like, they quite literally hate and want to murder elves. It's
Yep.
in their background. So I was like, well, this is happening now.
That makes a lot of sense given
Yeah.
the context. And we got a magic item out of that fight.
You did.
The conch shell,
The
right?
conch shell, yeah.
That can summon sea monsters or something?
No, I believe it, I would have to take a look, but I believe it helps you speak to or
Yeah, it's like-
command
it's like a-
like friendly nautical or aqua creatures.
Yeah, so I think Izzy has it.
Yeah, I think she has it. Also, I mean, she mated two giant octopi fight one giant shark, which was amazing.
Also, actually, my brother-in-law texted me after that episode aired and said that the plural probably is, I think, octopuses or octopods.
Ooh.
So I was wrong when
Take that, octopi enthusiast and Mike.
Also, he does a lot of sailing, and he didn't have any comments about all the different random ship names that we had in the first episode.
Good.
So I think he felt bad for us for how badly we misnamed everything on that ship, or we got everything right.
I will-
It's definitely one of the two.
Quick, I know we haven't done it much at all on this aftermath, but a DM quick tip: if you're gonna do an entire scenario that has to do with a boat, learn nautical terms
Or-
and what a boat and how big it is and how many masts a ship should have for one person steering
And whether
it.
there would be lifeboats or where the anchor would be and stuff.
Yeah.
Or just
which
straight
I
up-
did none of,
Or just
0%
straight
work.
up say, I don't know, and then we can just make it up together.
Yeah.
We will accept either answer.
Or you can do what I did, folks, which is confidently roll through it like a bumbling idiot.
No, but you straight up said at the beginning, like, I, J, don't know, which is fine, because then we got to, like, figure it out together.
That's
like,
true.
If you had been, like, confident, be like, no, it's got 3 masts and 5 oars, and you'd be like, but that doesn't make any sense. No, it's the law
That's
now.
how I say most of the things on the show, so that was
It's
a good
true.
impression.
It's true.
I mean, I think you should have just thrown the onus on John Kim to like learn everything about
John, tell us
sailing.
everything about your boat, from stem to stern.
Just make it all his job.
But yeah, that fight ended up with 2 octopuses, pods, 2 octo things, fighting
Yep.
a giant shark
Yep.
in the water.
Yep.
Horace fighting that shark.
You fighting a sorceress,
Yeah.
and John getting to fight the barbarian version of their... Like, it actually worked out cinematically very well.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And yet, So avoidable, that fight.
It was.
We could have just walked away.
Curiosity got the best of you guys.
Yeah.
But not about the other things, like just investigating, simple things like
Well,
mind flayers. and
We
stuff
learned
like
our
that.
lesson. No, I investigated. I just don't know anything about them.
True.
True.
Hobgoblins, though.
Hobgoblins.
We didn't investigate
you have
that.
No
Nope.
idea.
And I'm sure that'll never come back to bite you ever again.
You're like, man, they're
See, why do you
very
gotta say
strangely.
things like that, Jay? Because now I'm very actively concerned that it's going to.
What? No. You're going to be fine.
Hey guys, write a letter. # save Sweeney.
Yeah, please write a letter.
Hobgoblins fall, everyone's dead.
Oh god.
Oh god, you're covered in bodies of hobgoblins.
Oh no, they're
That's
all alive and
terrifying.
angry.
Hey, there's still that one that's alive. Or it might not be alive.
We tied it to a rock and dropped it in the ocean. I'm sure that problem resolved itself.
And it was
Yeah.
Bunny at the time.
Remember, as soon as that bunny loses all of its hit points, which bunnies can't breathe, it turns back into whatever it is at the bottom of the ocean.
Which is tied to a rock
yeah.
And stuck at
in
the bottom
shark-infested
of the
waters.
Yes.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's dead.
Yeah, totally. Totally good.
So great that you
I-
guys let that thing live.
I thought we had-
die.
I thought we had a
under the
great
ocean.
plan.
Such a good plan.
No, we've
For,
killed-
normal things that can breathe and don't fold into pumpkin mush when they die.
I'm so worried now.
Hey, everybody, so that was our aftermath.
No.
Everyone's going to die now.
# save Sweeney.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. We had an amazing time playing with John, and we look forward to having him back. However, next week we are joined by Hillary Levi. Hillary recently joined Todd G11 and I on the Blockbuster Smash Up podcast, where she helped smash together Silence of the Lambs with a Steven Seagal movie directed by Steven Seagal, and it got pretty crazy. So be sure to join us for the new season beginning next Friday. Once again, if you enjoy the show and you want to help us share it with a few other people, the best way to do that is leaving a rating and review on iTunes. 5-star rating and reviews really help new people find the show, which is always a good thing. So thanks. You can follow John on Twitter at John Harlan Kim. Photos and character art can be found in the show notes on partialart.com. And while you're there, why not check out some of our other podcasts, including Because Comics, Blockbuster Smash Up, and Roll to Seize. If you have any questions about the show, you can email us at FridayNightQuests@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all under the handle Partial Arc. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'm gonna loot the body.
So, how much experience do we get?
Well, now we have a skeleton army, so that's pretty neat.